before I close about Bill, but just a couple little things. I cannot ever hear that song, Great Is Thy Faithfulness, without hearing one of Bill's lectures where he was talking about Paul and Silas in the jail in Philippi singing Great Is Thy Faithfulness. Every time I hear that song, I think of Bill using that song, I think about Paul and Silas in jail. Another time, of course, Bill, you know, having us over for dinner, having a shake and a Coke, the way he was personable, engaging. He was a friend. He was more than a professor, he was a friend. And yet he was more than a friend, he was a professor. He was an academic. He was an excellent educator. He held us to high standards. But there were many times when we were with him, or one night, I don't know if you were there, Alex, or others, when Bill was bummed out. He was depressed and down. And in fact, I remember Bill crying, and the students who were around you, praying for you, laying hands on you, hugging you, and encouraging you. What relationship do you have with a professor that would go both ways? He encourages us, we encouraged him. And all in all, he was a professor. We respected him. We never took advantage of him. We looked up to him. And yet he was always there at our side. Well, I went on after graduating, and I went off to move to Utah. I taught for 22 years at Salt Lake Theological Seminary as an instructor. When I was turning 50, I went on to get my PhD and was hired at Wheaton College where for the last 17 years. Last laugh, you know, I got the last laugh. Little do they know. At any rate, so for the last 17 years, I just retired last June. I taught Greek and Biblical Studies, New Testament at Wheaton College. Hundreds and hundreds. In fact, one of my students is here. Lizzie. Or, right, Lizzie?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And hundreds and hundreds of students. I did spring break trips with them, going down to Tennessee, doing work in the Appalachian area. I did orientation up in Wisconsin. Took 5 groups of students for summers in Jerusalem and Greece and Turkey and Rome. Went on 2 semesters, taking a cohort of Wheaton students for a full semester in Jerusalem. And one day, it was a few years ago, now this is 50 years after graduating here, a student came up to me and said, Dr. V, you're different. There's something about you different than the other professors. You seem more personable. You're more accessible. You seem to have more time. You seem to have more time. And I was listening to her, and I thought, it's Bill. It's Bill. In that moment, I realized, you know, I wasn't even conscious of the fact that for over 50 years of teaching in Utah and here at Wheaton, I had Bill was my gold standard. Bill was my model of what a professor is. Bill was my, he set a trajectory. This is what we do. And I realized, you know, all these years I've just been taking Bill on the road. You know, and those students, they were actually hearing and feeling Bill. And, you know, Bill, you have to know, and I hope you know. You know, many of us, as we get older, we look back and we wonder, what have we done? What good have we done? Bill, there are thousands of children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and beyond that you have touched. They may not know your name, but they have felt you. They have been taught by you. They have been touched by you. They've been prayed for you. And I got a sneaky feeling that there are other individuals who are teaching, who have been teachers. And it's not just me that you've been teaching to many of us as well. And one last little thing here about Bill, and I'm embarrassed to say, Bill, you probably don't know this. I know you don't know this. I've never told anybody this. You were the only class that I fell asleep in. And I was thinking about this as I was driving up. I thought, oh, I remember, like, I remember falling asleep in his class. I thought, well, I really don't want to mention that, especially when it was during his prayer. But I thought, actually, the reason why I fell asleep during your prayer was it was long. It was long. I never fell asleep in anyone else's prayer because they were short. I never fell asleep in any professor's prayer because maybe they didn't even pray. But, I fell asleep in Bill's class because his prayer was long. Now, I'm ashamed, but it was to his honor that here was a professor that prayed long and prayed sincerely. And you take, professors, they want to get in and start teaching. But Bill took the time to pray. And I guess my falling asleep, kind of like Eutychus, is an honor of a great man. Thank you, Bill. And you have a student, one of my students out there that also thanks you. Yes.
This is Jim Yannick. Good evening. Happy to be here. Also, a beneficiary of the 1980s era Trinity is able to fog a mirror admissions policy. And happy for that. Now, I was a biblical studies major. I had been in many Moulder classes. I'm one of those odd people who actually enjoy and did well in Greek. So a couple of years of Greek, a few other classes. One of the things I always appreciated about Bill is he was very serious about what he was doing. He worked hard to teach and expected us to work hard in return. But he's also got a sense of humor and a wisdom side. And I'll tell you an anecdote to illustrate that. I was in I think it was a Old Testament introduction class, a 400 level class, and it was a warm afternoon. Bill asked a question, and somebody answered it wrong. And I knew the right answer. And so, for whatever reason, when he answered it wrong, I immediately went, incorrect answer. And I looked over at Bill because I'm like, ooh, he was going to be really mad. He wasn't. He was laughing. And for years after that, he would come up to me and go, yeah, another fun memory. Bill was the same person inside the classroom as he was outside the classroom. We spent a lot of time together, a lot of dinners, a lot of events. One summer, he was off to, I don't know, Russia maybe for 3 weeks. And he's like, yeah, could you water my plants at my house? Sure, how hard can it be? He said, well, come over for dinner and I'll show you around. And I go to his house and I have not appreciated that he recreated some sort of arboretum in his garden. And so he kicks off for Russia, and the next 3 weeks were like 95 degrees and no rain. So I'm not sure how many plants I killed that summer. I tried, I really did try. But Bill, I arrived here in 1980, a confused and traumatized kid. You were there all the time, in the class, out of the class, a lot of conversations. In fact, I'm going to share your limelight a little bit with a couple other people. Cliff Williams, Bill Grady, same thing. Such uniqueness, such realness, such love, such support. I couldn't have even imagined. It was beyond my wildest dreams. I think of all of you often. There's a lot of things that changed my life at Trinity. I mean, I got an education here, but that wasn't the main event for me. So thank you for everything. Just bless you for being the person you are.
Guess I won't. But I think I have plenty of time to make it. But Bill, I've been trying to think about what to say that would explain what you mean to me. And I don't know how many of you went on to the seminary here, but something happens when you tell other pastors my age that you went to Trinity Seminary in the early 80s. They go, well, what happened to you? You had D.A. Carson and Gleason Archer and Gary Collins and those guys. And yes, you can do some name dropping at the seminary. But I signed up for an extension class at the Akron campus of Trinity a while back to just renew my theology. And we were going over the transcripts, and they said, who was this sociology professor? And I said, oh man, I don't remember his name. And they said, who was your history professor? And I said, you know, I don't remember. I'm sorry about that. And they said, well, who did you have for Greek? And I said, Bill Moulder. And it struck me that I remember you all, but I remembered that name because you invested in me. I was your teacher assistant, and I can't even remember what year, but you taught me more by letting me be a miserable teacher assistant than I ever learned in your classroom, because you were patient and kind and loving and you cared. And I watched that happen with my nephew over there in the early 2000s. And the impact that you've had is immeasurable. I've spent the last 40 years teaching high schoolers and junior hires vocabulary building because of what I learned in Greek and Latin prior to that. And so your impact isn't just in this room. Your impact is with Chris's students, the people that read Chris's books, with the people that I do word building with, and who knows how many other people from the arms and hands and fingers that go out from this room and others. So Bill, someday you'll stand before the Lord, and the Lord will say, hey Bill, look at this group over here. They're your disciples. They learned about me from you, and that is where your impact is. God bless you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Hugh. I was Alex's roommate way back when, and I was in that first class, that first Greek class, which was monumental. But I'm not here to tell an inspiring story. I only have a joke. No, anyway. But I have many favorite professors. Bill was one of them. Bill Grady, I was talking to him, how he should have flunked me and didn't. I appreciate that. And another favorite professor was somebody I never went to the classroom. My father-in-law. He taught boys, Don Bowles. He's gone to be with the Lord about 4 years ago. But the anecdote, now I wasn't in this class. I heard about it later. And so I'm still sure it happened, even though I didn't witness it firsthand. And this shows you that sometimes the best things that happen to you are accidental and done to you, not by you. But Bill bops into class one day, whatever class it was, maybe he'll remember. And he announces before anything else, he says, today class, I'm going to give you a little quizzy. And somebody in the back, I don't think they meant to say it this way, but they said, well, I'd rather have one of your little quizzies than one of your little testes. Okay. So I told that story mostly in church. Maybe Bill remembers exactly what you don't remember that? I don't know how you remember that.
That happened at Queen.
At Queen? Yeah. they didn't communicate well. You could always count on Bill being a real person and teaching well as well. So, thanks.
I have one more official person, and it's Doc Rad. And if you ever wanted to know what the operative mood is, did I say that right? Is it a voice? Anyway, here's Doc Rad because Bill said she would be hurt if she wasn't here. And on Facebook, it's impossible to find you if you're not on Facebook. Actually, somebody I would have found, but she doesn't go by her real name. But here's Doc Rad.
Good evening, everyone. I did not know also I will be speaking tonight, but welcome everyone. Thank you, dear, for inviting me. You mean so much to me in many, many ways. So I came in 2004, and this is to teach here, to teach Greek and the New Testament. And the first thing that I would say that really means a lot to me is that Bia welcomed me so well. And that's one of the first, element that I really like about you is that you have a true sense of collaboration, and I did not come, like as a threat to you, but you embraced me like a big brother would do. And I was coming from the South, where I had spent about 14 years, and this place around here was very, very much, different, and people did not act the same way, but Beer was very welcoming, and so thank you so much, Beer, for making me feel welcome and making me feel at home here. The other thing that I would say that I really appreciate about you a lot is your true gift of mercy. I have rarely met someone who has such a strong gift of mercy. You cry with those who hurt, you laugh with those who are rejoicing, and then you have your strong consent, you seek justice for those who have been wronged, and you have welcomed in your house people who didn't have a place to stay. Really, this sense of mercy, this gift of mercy that you have is just all around you, and you have taught me a lot about this. And many times I don't have this gift, but being around you really taught me a lot about extending mercy to people. So thank you for that. And then I would say also you're a wonderful educator, right? I mean, you are funny, like I was saying. You truly, truly loved your students, and I know you are missing them today. And I'm sure they are really nice when you just, even when you cry because you don't have this connection. The human touch is so important to you, and this gathering says it all because you are a lover of people, and it really just, show in the way you were teaching and how you were teaching and how many lives you have touched. So that also I taught it from you. I learned it from you. So, and then I also love your love for the arts and all of those things, everything. You are a learner as well. And so there are so many things that I really appreciate about you, but you have been a gift. In my life, you have a true gift for me. And so I thank God, really for bringing you into my life and for you teaching me all what you have taught me as a big brother. Thank you, dear.
This is really open mic time. I would be remiss if I didn't offer it to Dr. Grady, Bill Grady. If you would like to say a few words, you're welcome to. Or anybody else. Anybody else like to say something about David Huber?
To be real quick.
Hey, Bill, really quick. Up to the mic, please. Another original from 1975.
And Greek was one of my favorite subjects, by the way, when I was working around the clock, UPS, whatever. But I told Bill earlier when we met him, before the ceremony started here, that he was one of the best professors I had. And he cared about students. There was a quiet humility about him.
spent year actually in high school and previous university, so it just seemed natural for me to really get into the details. I like the way you agree exactly. You had all the conjugations and declensions correct in all the forms. And it really enforced an intellectual discipline that stayed with me throughout my life, my other academic pursuits. Kudos to you. I didn't really get to a thesis professor at the university I graduated from, but you're one of the best. My experience, so thank you. And you could have gone to a lot of different places after you got your PhD and you came to Trinity, and that really impressed me back then. So that's all I have to say. And nice to see you all.
It's open mic time. Anybody else?
My name is Clint Anderson. I graduated in 1980. I majored in philosophy and history here at Trinity. And so this is a tribute to Bill from all the students who didn't take Greek. Because I didn't take Greek when I was here. The one thing that came across to students who didn't have the joy of experiencing Bill in class is that Bill really cared. He had a passion for students. He liked students and being around them. And so even though I never had a class with him, when I finished at Trinity and I was heading off to graduate school, I thought, well, I should learn some Greek. So I asked him if he would tutor me in Greek during the summer, and in my mind, I'm thinking I do bilingual, it should take 2 or 3 weeks. After the 3rd week, and I was failing miserably, and I realized how beautiful and complicated and important Greek was, I stopped, because I was in over my head and I didn't have time to continue. But that didn't matter to Bill. The relationship continued, and he cared. 20 years later, when my nephews came here, Cara Anderson and Jonathan Anderson, they would talk about Bill Moulder too, and how much they cared. They were athletes, I played soccer, and they played soccer, and that really, really struck me. I'm a college professor myself, and having that genuineness and that care for students is something I'm so grateful to have seen from you. So thank you for that. Thank you for being an example. Thank you for failing me graciously that summer when I